Are we recording?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say like, hey, what's going on? We're gonna start it in the middle or something. A little bit of a nice cold opening.
A nice cold opening.
Is this our opening?
No. What's cold? What's open?
He's been recording.
Your mom?
No. He's been recording. I asked Siri to make an hour and a half timer.
I'm not leaving. I'm here for the recording.
Alright, are you ready?
Go.
Alright, welcome to another episode of The Drive-In. This is the episode, part 2 of The Drunk Drive-In.
Part 2.
As I've been throwing out Electric Boogaloo.
As I've been.
Okay.
It's Drunk Drive-In Part 2, Electric Boogaloo.
No.
Is the full title.
As we found out in our movie tonight, it's Drunk Drive-In Part Buku.
Buku, buku.
The Shazam version.
It's Kazaam!
Kazaam.
Spoiler alert.
Damn it, Casey.
Alright, so as you may know by now, as you can be able to tell, so we watched the 1996 classic, the Tony-nominated, or Oscar-nominated, for those of you who actually know the difference. Oscar-nominated, it wasn't nominated for any Oscars, don't worry. Kazam.
I don't know.
You say classic.
Those effects were boss.
Those effects were 1996 high-end.
Pause. Why does Aaron sound sober? Did you drink anything?
Aaron has a sober announcer voice. If you make announcer voice, you sound sober.
If
it's
you
a
make
thing I've
announcer
learned.
voice.
Your vocabulary does not match the voice.
Oh, God.
So all we have to do is all four of us have to do announcer voice the entire time. And all of us are going to sound sober for the entire podcast.
The fact that you
and
guys
no
are going into announcer voice clearly shows everyone listening that we're not sober.
Anyway, we have an hour and 27 minutes.
Jordan has decided that this is going to be a shorter episode. Hey, if we get under an hour and a half, we do. But at this point, I think it is my goal to go past an hour and a half just to piss Jordan off.
This goes out to future Jordan. This is for you. Future Jordan hates listening to our podcasts.
Future Jordan is probably...
I hate it when mommy and daddy fight.
Yeah, we haven't
Mom
introduced
and Dad
everybody.
Are fighting again.
So, okay, we watched Kazaam, and we have 3 guest hosts, much like last drunk drive-in,
and we have opinions.
And we had a good
I thought you were gonna say pinata.
We had a good old time watching Kazaam. So, as we did with the last episode, and as I've kind of been doing periodically, let's go around the room and see what are we drinking tonight, and what have we been drinking, because it's clear that there's been a couple beverages. So, Carly is our first guest host of the night. Carly, welcome, and what are you drinking?
Hi, I'm Carly, and I have been drinking Dogfish Head Flesh and Blood.
Yeah, it's actually called that because it has flesh and blood in it.
It's a blood orange IPA with lemon flesh or something. I don't know. It said flesh and blood on it, so I bought it.
She bought it just so she could say it.
That's true. Next. Casey, one of our Avengers Infinity War guest hosts, he's back. Casey, what are you drinking?
Hey, Aaron, thank you for having me. I am drinking Bird Dog whiskey, and have been for the entire film. I'm almost certainly the drunkest person at the table, but...
Well, when you play a drinking game to Kazaam, and anytime anybody is sipping something for said drinking game, you're like, oh, okay, yeah. Well, we'll give you guys the rundown of it. But they're like, oh my god, they said wish! And everyone takes a sip. Our sip is like 1/8 of Casey's sip, because he's drinking straight liquor tonight. So.
I've got like a 10th. I'm drinking IPA.
I'm drinking cider, so mine's like 1/15.
Yeah.
It's a hard cider. Boom.
A very hard cider, sure.
Yeah. All right.
You both forgot a drink.
I said wish, guys.
No.
Oh.
Drink.
Excuse me. What drink did you both drink that night?
Oh,
We also had a shot of... What was that shot that we did?
it had Jell-O and it had gin, and it was left over from the 4th of July.
Those are the things I remember about it also.
With whipped cream on top and sprinkles.
Yes.
Yeah, by the time this comes out, it will be August. So, just so you guys are aware.
I was not in this state for the 4th of July, and yet here I am taking Jell-O shots.
There you go.
And now you're in this state for the 4th of
fine.
July.
America.
Boo.
Jordan. Jordan, as you guys
Oh.
know by now, is my wonderful wife.
I didn't get to introduce myself.
And she is back again after being the very, very first guest host. And she's been on as the designated fill-in when I can't find anybody. Jordan, what are you drinking tonight?
I don't even like this podcast.
Pinch hitter.
The pinch hitter of the drive-in. What have you
Okay.
been drinking tonight?
I've been drinking 2 things. Tallgrass Brewing Company Blueberry Lemon Ale, which is a session sour ale. And currently my favorite obsession. Aaron
It's your
bought me-
favorite session because it's a.
Shut up.
I-
Anyway. Hi, kitten. That was Sawyer.
Guest host Sawyer.
Hey, kitty. Aaron bought me 2 Sixers, so I have 12 of these. I've had 3, and I'm now drinking currently Bud Light Orange, made with real orange peels.
Not the oranges,
It's
just the
orange
peel.
flesh,
Just the
Jordan.
peels, orange flesh.
Not blood, though.
And I am drinking a cider.
Just
It's
very.
Beak. It's
very-
called Beak and Skiff, 1911 established.
Is it made from birds and birds?
Tropical hard cider.
Hold on.
It is a pineapple mango cider. It's very good.
Let me see. Hold on.
The can has a
Here-
very real texture.
Exactly. Hear this sound. Do you hear that? That's exactly what the can feels like.
So if you guys can hear sound, or feel sound, sorry. Clearly
I think we
you
can
can all
all
hear it.
sound unless we're hard of hearing, capitalized or uncapitalized.
Anyway,
So that
1 hour, 22
Jordan's
minutes.
looking at the time. We are currently 7 minutes and 23 seconds into the podcast, and Jordan is ready to go to bed already.
I'm not ready for bed. I'm just ready to be on the couch, not at the dining room table.
All right, so yeah, we watched Kazaam, and we had some drinking rules. We had 4 rules, even though I don't think we drank to one of them ever because it was kind of ambiguous.
We drank to a lot of...
We made up our own, which kind of took
We always drink
place
for
of
rhymes.
one or the other. So the very first one was
Oh.
rhymes and raps, and if you haven't seen Kazaam, Shaq pretty much decided, hey, I want to make a movie so I can launch my rap career. So there's a lot of that. The second one was if any time the kid or Shaq annoyed us, and we never really found that.
No,
so
no,
I
no, you
drank to
said that
that
wrong.
a lot.
If they were annoying as a duo, a sidekick duo,
yeah,
remember?
and it never really popped up.
I mean, because they were all constantly
We
annoying.
did replace, or I don't know if we replaced, because we probably drank to it a couple times. We did add one that was anytime Shaq calls himself Kazam, like I am Kazam, which is kind of his like way of doing magic. So we said it a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had anytime they said genie or wish, that was the go-to.
Yeah.
Wish was said probably about 100 times in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a good one. And then anytime there was a reference to the boombox or we saw the boombox, which is his genie lamp. Genie, drink.
Oh, drank.
That's...
I'm not going to do that the whole time. But Jordan's Snapchatting, and that's what you heard because she doesn't know how to do anything without ruining production value.
Oh, is this a production value? Sorry.
All right, so what did you guys think of Shaq's breakout film, Kazaam?
Wait, I thought we discovered this was not his breakout film.
Well, this is his second. He did what was like Blue Chips or something, which I've never seen. But
It's
that
not
was...
really not a breakout then.
Shaq's-
Well, Shaq Fu was in '94, but Shaq Fu was a video game on Sega Genesis that was not very good.
Okay.
Well, now, hold on. Because I had Shaq Fu as a child.
I did too.
On the Sega Genesis, and I played it an awful lot. And I feel like any video game that you play an awful lot has merit.
I don't know. I mean, like, I mean, I'm looking back through the video games that I've played throughout my day, and not all of them have been good. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
No?
I had a Sega Saturn, so no.
Oh, so no, yeah, no.
Like 98% of those that came out on Sega Saturn were garbage. I don't know. Shaq Fu, though, like, okay, Shaq Fu's premise is Shaq magically learns Kung Fu. And
Yes.
there's a bunch of random characters that have no context that also know some variety of karate. And it's like a shitty version of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. It's basically Mortal Kombat, but like with the story stripped away, replaced by Shaq, who's learned Kung Fu, and, oh, he needs enemies.
To be fair,
Put some people in who know Kung Fu.
what story could not be made better by stripping away the protagonist and replacing it with a Shaq who knows Kung Fu, and replacing all of their characters with, I don't know, some enemies? Pride and Prejudice instead of Elizabeth Bennet, we have Shaq who knows Kung Fu. Instead of
the
Darcy,
irony-
it's
Okay.
just an enemy.
The irony of all of this is when you said get rid of a protagonist and add Shaq who knows Kung Fu and then a bunch of guys who needs to fight, that's pretty much the entire premise of Kazaam. But you
Yeah.
also added the element that he knows Kung Fu and magic.
Why not both?
In fairness, I would 100% read Pride and Prejudice starring Shaq who knows Kung Fu.
I mean, they've already made
Shaq
Pride and
Ben
Prejudice and
Shaq.
zombies, so
Yeah.
Right?
yeah, this is all we got next. Yeah, so it was interesting. It was okay. I will say this: it was better than I remembered it being, but it was also worse in areas that I remember it being.
Mm-hmm.
Like Shaq's Shaq. Shaq was not doing anything different than what you have seen him do throughout his career and after career and all this other crap. He just was like he memorized lines and wore very stereotypical racist genie outfits.
He was
Yeah.
having fun.
Sure, yeah. This was the 90s. At this point, he was just sort of having fun with the genie thing.
It was a different time.
Sure, yeah. I mean, this was like 20 years ago. This was 22 years ago.
This is 22
So,
years ago.
I
Jesus.
really want to pause.
Oh god, I feel so old. I'm leaving now.
You're very old. I really want to pause the movie when he has the milagros, the silver medallions that are sewn into his costume, that are all in different shapes. He has it a couple times, but particularly when he first appears as a genie, Shaq has milagros sewn into his turban, which is really interesting because I associate those with Spanish, Mexican, Catholic faith, that you have silver little symbols of different things you're praying about. And I didn't know about them in, like, connection to Arabic symbolism. So I really, as a fucking nerd, want to pause and look at them and see what the symbols actually are that Shaq as Kazaam would be carrying to pray about. Like,
And
the whole movie, I'm like, what are those symbols? What are they for?
That's
what
what
is he
bothered
praying?
you.
Yes.
see, and in this regard, you are digging more deeply than 99.999%
Because-
of the Shazam.
Because I tell
Kazaam.
you, Kazaam.
You can't say Shazam.
Casey? It's Kazaam.
I tell you, Casey, in Kazaam, like your name Casey, it alliterates. In Kazaam, the costumer also alliterates. Cared about what symbols she sewed onto that costume.
Did she,
Also
though?
alliterates.
I don't know. I was less worried about the costume elements in this movie and the not so subtle, like, pedophilia.
Yeah.
Oh, so awkward.
Like, it's like, okay, I understand in the 90s we were all a little bit like our threshold of adult celebrity to child interaction ratio was
I don't know if we
like,
call it a
oh,
threshold.
well, I don't know.
Yeah, it was kind of.
No one had an issue with Michael Jackson hanging out with Macaulay Culkin.
No, people had issue with it.
Macaulay Culkin
Well,
has
but
a
this
lot
one
of
they
problems.
filmed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they sold this as a film
I don't know.
in theaters.
Yeah.
But, okay. Let's discuss the plot. I mean, there was a plot. It was very loose. It was very
there?
interesting to try to mangle. We never really came back to this element The movie
It's
starts
weird,
out.
you say plot.
The movie starts out with like this very interesting. I say interesting loosely. Slow pan of a abandoned something building.
Sure.
It was a shock because there was a sales.
There was a sales sign.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's this abandoned building, and all of a sudden, this genie lamp style lamp falls over, and Shaq's screaming. But we never come back to that.
Because it sounds like Grandpa having sex.
But it's, I mean, who
It's
else
like,
is it going to be?
There is literally no context for that scene.
It never comes back around.
Did he? Because I asked, what was the whole point with him falling from his lamp or whatever, and you guys said, he'll explain.
We're just trying to shut you up.
Well,
Never
no.
fucking
Is it
explains.
because he Is it because he goes into the boombox? Because
Maybe.
the lamp, like in the
But
initial
does
scene,
he?
the lamp exists, obviously.
Is there a cutscene we missed?
No.
Like,
Unlike the last episode of Drunk Driving, this was not an edited version. Like, we didn't get the TV. This was like the actual version.
no, but I mean,
of
was
the
there
show.
a cutscene that didn't make it to theatrical release?
That seems like one that you'd want to include, though.
Well, sure,
Right.
but there are a lot of cutscenes you want to include that don't make it to theatrical release.
But, like, the lamp didn't break or anything. It just fell, and then we heard yelling and screaming, and then they were...
And there was a fade out, and then we were in the 90s.
And then we were in the 90s. Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand that first scene.
How
Which-
Shaq got from lamp to boombox.
Boombox.
Can we talk about how good Shaq looked, though?
Shaq was in
Yeah.
peak athletic condition. This is
He's a
him.
beautiful man. I don't remember him looking like that.
We talk. Okay, so we like I mentioned this towards like the middle half of the movie, and I was like, so I want to see. I looked at his career, and this came out in '96. And 1996 was Shaq's last year with the Orlando Magic. So I was like, okay, first off, he's playing a genie, and he was playing for the Magic, which I thought was funny. But this was his last year with the Magic. This is only like his second or third year in the NBA. So he's not old Shaq like lumbering down the court. He's like young.
Yeah, this is
He's
peak
beautiful.
Shaq for this film.
This is Shaq who can learn some Shaq fu. Shaq.
Oh no.
This is Shaq Steel.
This is no, that's a
Oh
couple
no,
years
that's
later.
another movie. Sorry.
That's later.
Sorry.
But yeah, so after the really odd, ambiguous scene with the lamp, we learn where we find out about our main character, kind of main character, Max.
Oh.
Sure.
And Max is like
The
we
audience surrogate,
yeah.
basically.
Apparently, we all look like homeless people in the 90s.
With
Max
big teeth.
wore the
Yeah,
same
with
Max wore the same fucking shirt the entire movie. Shaq had about 14 costumes.
He had like 3, just changed a lot.
No, there were a lot of
costume changes.
accessories.
he had some variety.
Except for that
But Max
earring.
could only get the one blurry shirt
And the vest.
in the vest the
Yeah.
entire time.
That was
Yep.
a camper's vest.
Because, like, shirt and vest is all 90s, right?
Also, he was 12, and those were a men's extra large he was wearing.
Sure.
Which I get is the 90s look, but it looks like garbage. 1990s. It looks like garbage.
This show was so 90s. There's so many elements of this movie that scream. Like, the soundtrack alone, you're looking at it and you're like, you got Left Eye from TLC, R.I.P. One for Left Eye.
Oh, one for Left Eye.
Right, drinking.
Cheers.
Screw TC.
Yep, need that L.
Anyways, and you had Backstreet Boys, 1996 Backstreet Boys. So this would have been like before Backstreet Boys were actually the Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
It's like Back Alley Boys.
Well, speaking of back alley, we'll get there in a second. There was a scene where little Max got taken in the back of an alley. We don't know what happened to him. It's Spinderella. I mean, pretty much the only thing as far as 90s rap you were missing was Will Smith. And I say rap loosely when I say Will Smith, but
Right.
90s rap. So
Better than Shaq?
I don't know.
No.
I mean, okay.
I
I
really
would
don't-
pay. I would pay a lot of money to see a rap battle between Shaq and Will Smith.
Have you guys ever seen Epic Rap Battles of History?
Yeah.
There would definitely be a Shaq Will Smith one. I'll see that.
Put that in.
Mm-hmm. Anywhere.
They need like 100 though, so do it 100 different times.
Alright, anyway.
Sorry, I'm finishing my Midwest snack of Scotcheroos.
1 hour, 9 minutes.
Jordan, would you like to explain what Scotcheroos
No,
are?
because I'm mad about it.
Jordan can't follow a recipe, so she's upset.
Move on, you have 1 hour and 9 minutes.
Alright, so Max is discovered as this angsty 12-year-old with a really fucked up tooth.
Snaggle tooth.
Oh, it was really bad. And they like to focus in on it, too.
Right on that snaggle tooth.
You know, I'm not biased against tooth disabled.
Yeah, you are. Embrace it.
I don't know. I've got one too. I got like a tooth that like goes in front of
I'm
another
just gonna
tooth.
talk about it.
We're not gonna talk
Do you
about
want a close up on it?
it. Sure as shit don't.
Yeah. There's the bias.
And so the first we see of him, he's being a rough and tough bad guy, making faces in the window of his classroom at his buddy. And that's him being.
It's a very
bad
high
guy.
school hijinks sort of intro.
I know.
It's a elementary school
Yeah.
hijinks intro.
Like,
He's like, I'll make faces at you, haha. And then, like, 2 minutes later, fucking Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite shows up. And I'm not kidding. Look it up.
No, actually, yes. The guy from this movie is the guy from Napoleon Dynamite.
I called it. I was like, is that Pedro? And everybody's like, what? No. And we paused it, went back. It's Pedro. Napoleon Dynamite, Pedro. It happened. He was there. He played, what was his name?
He played like other.
That's a great
Yeah.
question.
Efren
Bully
Ramirez.
number 2.
yes.
Efren Ramirez, who's only
Carlos
been
the
in a
Thug.
couple movies.
Yes. Carlos the Thug.
Let's see. He was in Kazaam. Carlos. He was Carlos.
Damn right he
Shit.
was Carlos. I wasn't making
Nice.
shit
Well
up.
done.
Yep. He
I know
was.
my
That was.
Carloses.
Yeah, that was his third movie. He was in Jury Duty.
Yeah.
Talk about '90s. Pauly Shore. He was. In, that should be on the next one. The Pauly Shore marathon.
Do not invite me.
No. Actually, I want to say Son-in-Law is probably one of my favorite like growing up movies. It's so bad. So bad. I watched it about 100 times ago.
Keep moving. I'm fading fast.
Jordan's gonna be in bed by the time we get to
Yeah.
Shaq's first rap. Well, his first like actual singing rap.
Yeah, it took forever for him to be in this freaking movie.
It was like good 25 minutes at least.
F-bombs are we allowed?
Oh, I've dropped a few. Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay, good.
we're gonna throw an
Okay,
E on this for explicit, but if it's a drunk driving, you can't really expect anything
Yeah.
other than that.
Sorry, how long did it take for him to be in this fucking movie?
Yeah, and then after he shows up in his first scene in the abandoned house
Then he's
apartment,
gone.
he's gone for another 15 minutes.
Bye, Shaq.
Except for everybody, as Casey said, there's the reminder that Shaq is still part of this movie when you see the shooting star above his bed, above Max's
Yo,
bed.
yeah. Max lays down in his bed, and there's like some sort of star thing.
He's
above
got
his
he's
bed.
got like some sort of a constellation fixture
right,
above his bed.
Right. There's this very like
Weird
extremely 90s like
photorealistic constellation cutout above his bed.
It's pretty cool.
right, and then like you see a shooting star above it, and you hear Shaq very distantly go.
It looks like the
That was after he
ceiling
found
of the
Shaq,
bedroom of a guy I would have given a blowjob to in the
That was
9th
after
grade.
he found Shaq.
Okay, say that one more
Well,
time.
yes,
No,
but
I
this was to
won't.
clarify that like Shaq was still in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It was
It'd been more than 10 seconds since we got a wrap, so they're like, "Hey guys, just wait, he's coming back."
Okay, back on
Shaq.
track. He's bullied. I'm trying to keep us all there. He was
No.
bullied. He goes home. His mom's like, "Where you been?" Because he's fucking 12 and it's 10 o'clock at night. She
But-
has no clue.
To be fair, she doesn't say where you've been till he shows up. She's
It's
like,
not
"Oh,
night.
you exist."
When he comes back the first time, it's right after school.
yeah, he's
because
gotten
he
detention.
he got expelled or something. Like he got in
Detention.
trouble, detention.
From the
And then
black
he's like,
lady
"Where you
teacher."
been?" And he's like, "Oh, I got detention." And she's like, "You were supposed to help."
And he makes
clean.
the transphobic joke.
Oh yeah, because he talks about his teacher who's
Being
like,
an angry man in a woman's body, and all of us went,
What?
"This is the first of many."
"No 90s, no,
Oh, it was in the 90s. It was a
Yeah.
different time. We had a lot.
Oh.
no, we do not accept it."
No, it was just like that because it's like it's the 90s. maybe he was gone for like several hours and she wondered, but at the same time, like it was the 90s, people just sort of did that back then.
Yeah, it was just bad.
Just a side note to those listening at home. Jordan, we've lost Jordan. She's playing with the cats. So.
Playing with the kittens.
Yep, yeah, she's over there. So Kazaam shows up as our Max. Max is he leaves. Okay, hold on. We got to talk about Travis. Got it? Because he's important. Travis is.
We do. Travis is a marginally important character about which we need to talk.
The middleist most important character.
So, like, we talked about, like, the stepdad character. And who was it that was like, oh, Jordan. Jordan was like, that looks like the stepdad from the Santa Claus. And I was like, oh, you mean Judge Reinhold? The Santa Claus. And I was like, you mean Judge Reinhold? And she's like, wait, what? I was like, Judge Reinhold. He was a stepdad in Santa Claus. And she's like, his name was Judge? I'm like, yeah, his name was fucking Judge. He's a badass. He was in Beverly Hills Cop. Eddie Murphy. Parts 1 and 2. And, but this was not Judge Reinhold. This was...
John Costello.
That wasn't his name. Seriously, what's his name?
That was John Costello.
Wait a minute, in this movie?
Yeah.
She's making
no, his real name was John Costello. He was Travis, the fireman.
She can't remember much, ladies and gentlemen, but yes, his name was John Costello.
John
Costello as Travis.
Rest in peace. Apparently died in 2008.
Shit! December of 2008.
Oh Jesus!
Now I feel bad. Sort of.
He was in such films that we all know, such as Manhattan Murder Mystery as policeman, and The Hard Way as fake dead guy / cop.
Wow.
And Law and Order as Colin Parnell.
We all remember Colin Parnell as played by Mr. Costello.
He did not have a strong
Costello.
Yeah, this guy was not really in much. His fourth movie was Die Hard 2.
Hey, that's
not bad.
Yeah.
And then the next movie of any note that he was in was Kazaam. And then after that was Doubt in 2008.
Requiem.
Before he died?
Yeah. So, he looked like a poor man. He was in Doubt.
Yeah, as William Hurley, final film role.
Isn't there another actor with Costello?
That's depressing.
No, I'm thinking
Elvis Costello.
You're thinking Frank Caliendo.
No, honey.
Abbott Costello.
Abbott
and Costello. Wait, doesn't he say something about Abbott and Costello? Doesn't he bring the movies for Max?
No, it's not Abbott and Costello.
No, it's a. There is a.
Well, it's not Charlie Chaplin. It's
Well, it's not Fatty Arbuckle because there were no rape jokes.
Wow. I'm gonna look up black and white movie comedians or comedy actors. Buster Keaton is.
Oh, Buster Keaton.
Is Buster
1 hour,
Keaton?
1 minute.
Shut up. It was Buster Keaton. Yeah, and so anyway, so we talk about Travis. Travis shows up. Travis is he's the quote unquote stepdad character, even though he's not a stepdad yet.
He's a fireman.
He wants to be a stepdad. He's a fireman. Shout out to Timmy, who's not going to be listening to this. But
Tim,
we love
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And while we're throwing shout outs, Andre, here's your weekly shout out before I forget.
Andre! Love you, Dre.
Is Andre a person and not the dog that goes to the dog daycare where I work?
Dre is the one from Houston.
He guest hosts here.
Oh, okay.
He did what? Andre was on a couple weeks ago for.
He just did Sorry
to Bother You.
Okay.
And he was also on for Annihilation.
Yeah. Okay, I know who you're talking about now.
Him and Kimmy. Shout out to Kimmy, my favorite.
Kimmy Schmidt?
She'll be listening to this because she'll see that it's a truck
Kimmy
drive-in
lover.
and Jordan's on it.
My love.
It's fine. She's so brave.
But anyway,
so
Dre and Kimmy are the ones who came from Houston.
Yeah. Jordan, we have a time limit. Come on, stay on time.
1 hour and 36 seconds.
Yeah.
Go.
We're not listening.
We are fucking listening.
We have just introduced the movie Shazam.
Kazaam!
No more whiskey if you can't pronounce it right. Damn it, kid.
He's drinking some whiskey. It's probably watered down by now.
Anyway,
So
then-
Kazaam has introduced now the stepdad character, and Max is like, "You're not my real dad," and then he rides his bike down a flight of stairs and out and into the truck of the hooligans who are upset at him for giving them the wrong
street
key.
kids.
Yeah, they're like the street kids. It's
Pedro and the bullies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, and that kid who had a sweet bleached hair buzz cut.
The,
Fucking
the
love that kid.
hashtag bullies.
We thought they were.
From the
We thought
film.
there was one that was a skinhead. It was just really bleached
And
hair.
then we thought he was a girl. He was just a very pretty boy.
Much like Max. If you look up the character who played the actor who played the character Max, he is a very he's got well he looks
Not
like
what he looks like now.
he
No,
looks
told
like he
you that.
killed a man because he's got the
No.
teardrop tattoo. But he also has the very luscious eyelashes that he has as a child.
Beautiful eyes.
Those did not go away. So she's at the Domino's cheesy bread hashtag Domino's sponsor the drive-in.
I fucking wish.
It'd be nice if they're listening out there. You guys get a chance.
not listening.
Catch on now before we get expensive.
Are you
Um,
looking for something to sponsor?
Speaking of sponsors, who all sponsored Kazaam? Pepsi,
Oh man.
M&M,
Sunny D.
Sunny D,
Mr. Big.
Mr.
No,
Big.
there was Mr. Big, which I think was a candy bar. There's another.
Oh,
one.
all of the candy bars.
All of the candy bars.
There's another one. Hold on. What was the
It
other
was a
one?
big one. Pepsi.
We got
Sunny
Pepsi
D.
and Sunny D.
Jan Sports.
Oh man. Well, that was just a costume
Got it.
decision. Yeah, that was rough.
There was another big one.
There was another one too, and I
Yeah.
can't remember. National Enquirer. was
Jaguar?
showing
Was it Shaq?
up. Shaq.
Executive producer.
Yes. So okay. Yeah. Let's talk about this for a second
Yeah,
before we
right.
continue with
Not
this
even.
plot.
20 seconds.
So we're looking at the opening credits as they're doing this ambiguous opening scene, and executive producers pop up, and it's some random person and Shaquille O'Neal, and I was like, oh yeah, Shaq wanted to be an executive producer to make sure that he didn't make a horrible movie and do anything stupid, like he does in Kazaam. I almost said Shaq Fu, but that was 2 years earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
You would think he would have learned.
I don't.
Guys, let's be nice to Shaq because I might tag him in my tweet when I talk about this show.
And to be fair, he was more emotive than I expected.
Quite honestly,
Right?
he did much better than I
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah.
I
The-
was pretty impressed with his
the
acting
sad
skills.
You guys are
Moments-
backtracking like
No,
fuck.
no.
Oh my god.
No, throughout the movie, like, you would think his acting would be, like, wooden and, like, oh, I'm a basketball player who, like, switched to being in movies, and it's a lot better.
Shaq had 3 moves, if that.
Okay.
But they're all great moves. They were just used repeatedly.
Okay.
The
Sure.
pause and smile.
Okay.
Move number one.
Pause and
Creepy ass smile. The
Pause and
Yeah.
pause. Hey. And
Uh.
the number 2, wiggle your fingers and say I am Kazaam, or something else that we'll get at later.
Just how
That's
we
3.
all had to drink.
And
Sure, yeah.
number 3 is bob your head around and rap. Those are his 3 moves.
No.
Which is also
No.
how we had to drink.
You forgot. Look sad. Whether what you're saying is sad or not. If it's serious, you look sad.
Lack of emotion, Shaq.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Sad Shack.
Sad
Sad
Shaq.
Shaq.
That's just another one. Okay,
Anyway,
so
let's get to where you
yep,
found it.
we had we haven't even had that interaction.
No.
Don't eat my computer.
Eat it.
So he runs away from the ensemble
Or do.
of bullies and runs into this abandoned building, and we're like, hey, we remember that. That was the same building from the opener.
That's where the lamp was moaning ominously.
And then this kid has
What
like
they do.
a 50-foot fall.
Through like 4 stories.
Yeah, no,
These fuckers
seriously,
should be
should
dead.
obviously be dead.
Should not have survived.
He's hiding
He's
from his
alive.
bullies, and he takes a step backwards, and it's like one of those, oh, there's a hole in the floor, probably be careful, and he doesn't just fall through that hole, but he falls through 3 consecutive floors
Elevator
onto what happened to be a convenient pile of cushions, because otherwise he would have been dead.
Bullshit.
Bullshit.
He should have been dead. Logic. Physics.
At least a fucking concussion.
At least some fucking tetanus.
Oh shit.
Something.
What if Kazaam was just
the result of his concussion.
What if Kazam?
Oh, he's in a
The whole
coma.
movie is just a concussion from him falling through
Yeah.
4
Wow.
floors.
And his
Either
of his
that-
neglectful mother forgot to give him, like,
Pain
to the
meds.
hospital. Like,
Or Kazam is his spiritual journey with like the
Before he died.
Yeah. He didn't
Oh,
actually
man.
because remember. Okay, so we're getting ahead of
Yeah.
ourselves, but Shaq at the end is this bright fucking light.
Yeah, that's what
That was
Yep.
him going to heaven.
Oh my
oh
god.
my god.
He did. He
He
helped
goes
his
on
father,
a journey.
who was this horrible person, become better. He was a ghost. He sixth sensed
He
his
dies
father.
in that first
Oh my
scene.
So anyway, he falls through like 4 floors.
Yeah, and apparently survives.
Sure,
Apparently.
apparently.
And
yeah.
then
Quote,
he's hiding
unquote.
for the bullies.
Yeah.
From the bullies. And he hits a boombox.
He
And
accidentally
the
kicks
best
it.
Jamaican song ever in the world started playing.
It's like boom, boom, boom,
Dun, dun,
boom.
dun. It was the
Boom.
best. And he's like, no, stop. And he suddenly forgets how to work a fucking boombox. But he kicked it and it worked.
Yeah.
To be fair, he fell through 4 floors.
He's
True.
probably
He's
trying to
concussed.
figure.
that would make me forget how to work a
I was gonna
boombox.
say
Yes.
he's definitely trying to regain some fine motor skills at this
Yep.
point.
Anyway, the bullies come running down and he's like hiding underneath
Piece of cardboard.
a piece of cardboard. And then What's
One,
his name?
Shaq.
Kazam.
Kazam. Nice. Okay, I was very worried.
What's his name?
Shit
Shaq.
again. Anyway, Kazam blows up and he's like, I am Kazam! And he starts fucking rapping. And that's the first
Oh yeah.
time he drank.
So and he's talking in this like sing-songy like. Who,
Yeah.
who awaked my slumber? Something about lumber. And like, he's doing this really obvious
Yeah.
nursery rhyme
It's-
rap.
Yeah, it
Pretty
was like,
great. I
who
loved
wakes
it.
my slumber? Something about umber. I'm wearing burnt umber. You tumber?
It's
and we're
bad.
like, Shaq,
Boo.
tumber isn't a word, but we're drinking for this.
But this was
Okay.
the first time that we got to drink according to the rules, because nothing had happened as far as an annoyance yet.
I
we
mean-
hadn't had the we saw the boombox.
The kid was really annoying, and I drank the whole first 10 minutes of the movie.
The
You're not
boombox was one of the
You're
first
not
ones.
Rarely.
But yeah, so
Frequently wrong.
so Shaq like beats up a bunch of gangster bully kids.
He just scares them.
He like puts his hand out and like magically wind knocks them down.
Yeah.
Wind knock.
It's this very like, oh, I didn't touch you, but sort of I touched you.
That's what he does the whole movie. He's like sort of not touching but touching Max, and it's making me uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, accurate though, because
Like-
like he puts his hand towards you and you fall. Like he didn't touch you, but like you fell over.
He wakes up in
Like the
Max's
mom
bed.
didn't touch you, but you were like, "Hey, I'm on the bed." What happened there? I don't know. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
All of it.
I don't remember what happens next. So Shaq is like, "Oh, I'm your genie, and you need to make 3 wishes." And the kid's like, "Who the hell are you?" I'm leaving, and then
Tater.
yeah, it's like, "All right." And then Shaq's like, "No, seriously, like, have 3 wishes." And the kid doesn't want to, and he's like, "Fine, give me a black jaguar."
You've forgotten the lecture on avarice and the ethereal.
Oh yes. So if you guys have not yet studied up for your current SAT, watch Kazaam. You'll get a handful of words that will help
Yeah.
you on the vocabulary section.
Because
Like ethereal.
Shaq will help you with your avarice or greed. He can provide material goods, but he cannot help you with ethereal wishes, which are wishes pertaining to non-corporeal thoughts or ideas.
Which
Yes.
is a lot for a child to understand.
Whatever you
But
Right.
one
No, sure,
especially
sure.
who's concussed from falling 4 flights.
And I'm gonna
Yeah,
call
no, yeah.
I'm gonna call bullshit on that because by the end of the movie he's like, it came from your heart, so fuck the rules of the entire movie. You get this. I'm like, okay.
No, I think the best rule of the movie is if you watch Kazaam, you have to sort of pick exactly the point where Max is no longer suffering from a concussion. I think is
Is
what
that-
it is.
The point where he is dead? Because he's no longer suffering from the concussion? Or is this just a point where he's no longer...
I think no, because like there's a point where he falls through 4 floors of a city building, and he's obviously concussed, right, Jordan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then you have
Well,
to decide
sure.
where the movie transitions from him being concussed to him being like an actual character,
Or to him being dead.
or to him being dead in a very like the Sixth
I'm just
Sense
saying,
sort of way.
I'm just saying, to go back to the one other episode of this podcast I've been on, in my fan fiction, he's dead the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, it throws a whole wrench into the situation if he's actually dead.
My fucking timer broke, and now I don't know what's happening.
Here, I will help you.
Shit.
We're at 40 minutes.
3 hours. We're
Alright.
at 3 hours.
So we need 50 more minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know math.
Hey Siri.
So after shush. So just put it in like with your fingers like a normal
Says
person.
timer for 55
That's
So-
what she said.
Ha. So
Shaq
Shaq
did.
is continuously trying to get him
he
to
did.
make his wishes. He won't make his wishes.
Which we never figure out why he wants him to make his wishes. He doesn't
Well,
say like I
it's
get to
a
go
genie-
back to
it's the-
bed or whatever.
No, it's like, I mean, it's the genie theory or
Yeah,
whatever.
well, like explain shit to me. I want.
Well, no, he does
Have you
a
seen
whole
Aladdin?
Rap. He does a whole rap about genie versus jinn, and how jinn means freedom, and something about how that pertains to his ability to grant non-corporeal wishes, but it doesn't actually explain anything.
So
He's just
funky.
like, yeah, I can't do
Think
your
Google
wishes
for it.
about the heart because I'm a genie, and jinn means freedom to follow my own dreams. The end.
Yeah, and it's like, well, and it's weird because it seems like he has to grant his wishes in order to be free, but clearly he's been a genie for a long time, and he has granted wishes before. This is not like a new thing for him. So, I don't know. At some point, I don't know if this is jumping ahead, but this is the next major point I remember. Max goes back home. Carly's opening another. It's fine. It's no
Oops.
problem. This is the drunk driving. You don't
Number
have to
6.
apologize for that. And he goes back home and he's like, oh my gosh, divorce papers that are just happen to be laying around underneath like the Pizza Hut ad. And he looks at it and he's like, oh, my dad's name is something something Mateo.
So,
Nick Mateo.
yeah, in the first scene that Max has with his mom and his mom's boyfriend who would like to be engaged to his
Travis.
mom, Travis, the mom mentions that there were divorce papers, and Max says, divorce papers, but you don't know where my dad is, so he could never sign the divorce papers. And she's like, well, I'm incompetent.
She's like, yeah, about that.
And Travis is like, son, I think we should probably talk about this as though we respected each other. And so Max runs away.
You're not my dad.
Yeah. So he comes back and he's like, wait, mom said there were divorce papers. And Travis corroborated this.
Oh shit. See, I told you it was weird. It was counting down for 2 minutes.
Well,
He said it for 1 minute and 50 seconds.
so that's what
There,
happens when I
there are
explain
52
things.
minutes and 40 seconds
told you.
left, so...
Anyway.
So he finds these divorce papers. He finds out where his dad.
Uh,
He finds out his dad's name, and then as Jordan mentioned, and she's got a point. The address on the divorce papers was to his business that apparently he didn't own, because later in the movie we find out that this other guy owns the place, but he's just like the manager. So the divorce papers
Farouk
had.
Al-Bad guy.
Yeah, it was
whatever his
weird.
name is.
Divorce
Oh.
papers would usually have your home address,
Yeah.
or at least a postal address.
Yeah.
So
Not
he
your
goes.
fucking club that you work at.
Max goes to this place, and Shaq is like stalking him. He's being real creepy about it.
Every time it pans over, Shaq is watching this child making grinning faces at him.
Mm-hmm.
Like this.
Did you guys notice he had a suitcase at one point? It was not excuse me. I mean a briefcase. It wasn't the boombox he was carrying at one point. It was
Just-
a fucking briefcase. Is why?
They forgot.
I guess.
Shaq just said in his production notes that he wanted Kazaam to have a briefcase.
Oh, was it Kazaam? I'm just
Yes,
kidding.
it
I'm
wasn't
just kidding.
Shaq. That one clip was Kazaam.
Shaq Kazaam.
Shaq, savior of the universe. That's Flash. Anyways, so he goes and sees his dad, and his dad's like, "Who the hell are you? Are you a carrier, messenger kid? Got messages for me?" And he's like, "No, I'm Max." And he's like, "Oh." And then Max leaves, and Shaq's there, and the guy's like, "Oh, I like your costume." And he's like, "All right, cool." And they leave. And then Max decides to go to his underground lair.
Which is a weirdly expansive urban junkyard.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm not kidding when I say his underground lair.
He has electrical engineered a light up
Exactly.
throne. For
No,
himself.
seriously, like the lighting on this thing is like extensive.
Did it bother anyone that every single fucking light was on except for the street light?
I knew it would bother you.
The
Yeah.
yellow, red, and green lights.
I
They were
know.
both just not on. And I was like, why? But then, after Kazaam, like, fucking shoots around the room, they magically go on.
Yeah, they have a bike race in the
The
middle.
chef
Irritated.
turns everything on.
Yeah, it's this weird sort of like, look at these sick bike moves in the middle of this like movie.
And
Yeah.
we're not talking motorcycle.
No, we're talking about
Like-
BMX-ish.
Bicycles.
Yeah, not even
Yeah.
BMX. Like one step above a banana seat.
Right,
Well, and
where
yeah,
this
and
isn't
it's-
going to be impressive.
Yeah.
And the funny part is,
Yeah.
Max decides like, hey,
Just-
I'm upset. I'm gonna ride my bike away from this guy. And then Shaq finds a bike, and he's like, I'm gonna ride my bike next to this kid. And then we're gonna turn this into a race. And they're riding straight. They're not turning at all. They are racing each other for a good minute and a half, going straight, pedaling as fast as they can. But they're not going anywhere.
That's
It's the biggest fucking warehouse I've ever seen.
That has to be like 2.5 city blocks.
Shaq's
at least.
Infinite Warehouse.
And then Shaq's bike turns into like a magic golden bike, and he's like, oh, you're actually magic. Well, no shit.
Yeah, that was not a transformation that was necessary within the fiction of the film.
Yeah, because we kind of knew that he was magic, you know, for every single time that he was just popping up in front of Max.
And,
I was gonna
and
say,
we
that
got-
that alone should have been enough for Max to realize, hey, this guy's not normal, because he ran out of the building, and then the guy was standing outside holding his bike. Like,
Max
okay.
is a bit slow, though.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
So then he's like, oh my gosh, you're actually a genie. I want to take my first wish. And he wishes for food. And then...
Which, I'm sorry, Max, go home. You have a mother who, when she sees you, remembers you, and I assume would feed you.
It's a pretty large assumption.
Well, she always has Sunny D on hand.
A lot of Sunny D.
So much Sunny D.
And not even like the Sunny D that you would expect out of a... It's the bottles. It's the individuals.
portions of Sunny D.
That's not cheap.
No,
That's- That's like upper middle class shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, buying like separate bottles of Sunny D.
He's got the I'm okay with my child being hospitalized for dehydration Sunny D. What, that happened to my childhood friend?
So speaking of childhood, and I mentioned to everybody as this happened, my favorite part of the part of the movie that I always remembered as a kid was when candy and candy bars, gumballs and jelly beans and all this other sugary shit fell from the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking to myself as a young fat child, dear God, can this actually happen? And I'm trying to figure out a way as a kid how to make it happen, and I never figured it out. But it was amazing. Mr.
Yeah.
Big. Is that an actual candy bar?
Guys, idea for Aaron's 30th birthday.
Yeah.
We just surprised him by throwing shit at his face, which
Let's
is
do
just
this.
candy bars.
Okay, so true story. I had a surprise birthday party once.
Yeah.
Side note.
And I'd gone out with a friend for my birthday. I was like, I'm gonna have a quiet birthday. We'll just go out and get some coffee. And she was like, oh, this other friend texted me, so let's go pick her up and we'll all go get coffee. It'll be great. And I opened the door to her house, and all of a sudden people were setting off streamers. And my first thought was, oh no, her little sister's birthday is in 2 days. They threw her a birthday party, and I ruined it. They've set up all their streamers. What are they gonna do? No, it was a setup for my surprise birthday party. I just thought it was for someone else, obviously, not for me.
Nice.
So now I worry when I have surprise birthday parties for other people to make sure, like, I have signs that say, like, this is for you, this is intentional, we like you specifically.
Listen,
It's
we're all gonna
yours.
dress up as
Yeah.
Kazam.
Yes.
On Aaron's 30th birthday, we're gonna throw candy at his face.
This is good. I'll just
I see nothing wrong
wear
with
a
this
sign that
situation.
says, I am Shaq, hide your children.
So here.
I am
this is-
Kazam!
This is important.
Sorry.
I looked it up because I didn't think Mr. Big was an actual candy bar. It is. It is the largest size candy bar produced by the company Cadbury Cream Eggs, in Canada. Hence the name Mr. Big. The standard bar is made of a layered vanilla wafer coated in caramel, peanuts, and rice crisps.
Is it called a Mr. Standard?
This is the creepy part. No, hold on. Covered in a brown simulated chocolate-like coating.
Ew!
Chocolate.
So it's not even real chocolate.
I'm sorry, chocolate-like.
Okay, so that tells me that it is all palm oil and ground orangutans.
Apparently.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's like
That's what
it's
they
like
call it.
bits of real panda.
Do you
It's not real
read Discworld?
chocolate. It's simulated chocolate. Chocolate-like coating.
I will send you this,
Wow.
my friend.
Now hold on now. Cadbury cream eggs. I'm looking to see if those are real, if that's real chocolate or not.
I bet you they're not
It's
real.
not.
Those are nasty.
That doesn't sound
It does.
real.
Say,
No,
They're
milk,
gross.
have you ever had a Cadbury cream egg?
milk
Yeah, yeah.
chocolate
Okay.
within the EU.
It says the product consists of a thick chocolate shell. All right, I can continue
Yeah.
eating it. Housing a white and yellow fondant filling, which mimics the albumin and yolk of a chicken egg. So yeah, it's like a
Jesus.
sugar inside, chocolate outside.
Why
I
does
continue.
anyone want to simulate eating a raw egg? That's fucking disgusting.
Rocky. It's the
Call me Rocky.
I am the tiger, it's the yolk of the egg.
Okay, but have you seen
Get
that?
out.
I will not.
Okay, we need to wrap this up.
Wrap it up. We're
We
getting,
see
Okay,
we're getting close
so
to halfway.
The child met Shazam.
Kazam.
Kazam. Look what you've done, Casey. So okay,
Shaq
we've met.
Zam.
Shaq is now part of the show. Oh no, we're at his dad. He goes and sees
Yeah.
his dad. After his dad, no, we're at the candy bars. So after he realizes that Shaq slash Kazam, whatever, he plays the same goddamn person.
Shazam.
Yeah, that's why you keep saying
Shazam.
Shazam, because it's Shaq Sam. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
Okay.
Shaggy.
Sade.
But he's going through and he's like, okay, yeah, you're actually a genie. He's like, oh, so you're a genie, and until I give the other two wishes,
I
own you. And you're like, ooh,
Oh,
reparations and slavery and things.
No.
White-
Right, like
No.
a weird slavery joke that does not play well in this era.
And this kid has it, like Carly said earlier while we were watching this, he's got this shit-eating grin as he's like, I fucking own you, bitch. What are you gonna do? And Shaq's like, technically. And you're like, alright, well, I guess this is gonna take a weird turn.
This is weird.
Like, I guess I relate to this character, but like I'm uncomfortable with that.
No.
It's bad.
Bad.
And so the rest of the movie is pretty much this concept of trying to figure out when to do the wishes, when not to do the wishes, and then all of a sudden you throw in this like adult situation because, oh, the dad works for this. Okay, hold on. The dad works for Malik, whose character, the character name is Malik, but Marshall Manesh is the guy's name. And if you've ever seen How I Met Your Mother, he plays the cab driver, the limo driver from How I Met Your Mother. And I can't remember Ranjit.
Also, he looks exactly the same. That man is timeless.
Oh yeah, I mean this is 1996, and Ranjit wasn't really a thing until what, like 2007, 8 or something
Right.
like that. So good on you, Marshall.
There was at least a decade where he didn't age.
Yeah, he just skipped it. He skipped the late 90s and decided he cut his fake hair because it was clearly a wig
What are you talking about?
or extensions. I don't know, like a fake ponytail.
It was real.
Was it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Looked it up.
Looked it up. All right. So, all right, we're getting to the point where the movie's definitely shifting because it's gonna get dark here in a second. So we're gonna take a quick little break. We got to do that thing, and I don't know, jujubes and refilling popcorn and drinks.
Remind people not to drink and drive.
Oh, this is a good time. Yes, as we are drinking a lot of beverages that are of the adult consummation.
No, that's not how that works.
No, yeah,
I'm
no.
trying to be like Kazam.
It's fine.
Throwing out big words
Oh,
and hoping.
Are you
that-
gonna rhyme? Guys, Aaron's rapping.
Oh,
Okay.
Hold up.
So,
What
so
rhymes with consummation?
jubilation,
No.
Nope.
No, yeah, if you...
As-
masturbation.
As you go on with your joyful libations, don't plan on this consummation. Don't get on the road if you don't want to be a chode.
Oh
Stop.
Jesus Christ! It's even worse than that.
Wow.
how Shaq
Here,
would be
I'm going to give
ashamed.
you guys a quick little slant rhyme before we go to our break. So, this is a Shaq. Make sure that if you want to be super, if you're going to be on the drunk drive-in, make sure you get an Uber. All right, we'll be back in a second.
It was awful. Did you hear yourself say, I'm going to do a Shaq?
Oprah's Book of the Month Club? Please. We've got something much better in store for you.
Let's talk about books. The energy is right. I got a candle going. It feels good.
Every Monday morning, Jessica Gillen sits down and talks with you about the very best in books and literature.
Murder on the Orient Express. The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter. The Cruel Prince.
It's The Bookseller, every Monday morning, brought to you by Eventide Entertainment. If there's one thing that's true about wrestling fans, it's how much they like to talk about wrestling. Join Aaron Lopez and Ben Norsworthy for the Top Rope Wrestling Podcast.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Tune in every episode and be ringside as these two break down all of the big matches in the world of professional wrestling. Brought to you by Eventide Entertainment.
Welcome back to another, the second half. I was going to say another episode. We did that part already. The second half of the Drunk Drive-In Part 2. Electric Boogaloo. So, we've talked about how Shaq is a genie, and the kid's like, oh my gosh, you're a genie. I own you now. Slavery kind of a thing.
Horrible.
And we're not just saying that because this is actually referenced later where Shaq's like, I'm not your slave. But to the Indian guy, it's okay. So the second part of the movie, honestly, is fairly simple. The kid is Max goes to his dad's dance club. I don't know what
Like a recording studio?
It's a dance
no,
club
no.
and
It's-
recording studio.
Yeah,
it's
it's-
both.
It's something that I don't think I've
I
ever
would call
seen
it
in real
more of
life.
a-
Yeah, no,
Music
it's a
club,
sort of
right?
like club
Yeah.
slash
But
studio.
they
It is a
record.
venue.
What do clubs in the 90s look like?
I would assume
Yeah.
like clubs in the 2000s, but with more.
No.
Because the whole
Spandex.
plot is that there
And
is
more
the
cocaine.
tape they're going to
Accurate.
release.
We definitely thought all of them were going to be snorting cocaine.
Yeah.
They
that
probably
was-
were just off
Yeah,
camera.
we couldn't see it.
Everyone, like, right before it panned over to them, they were just snorting coke, and then as it panned to them, they were like,
They all
And
itch their
deliberate
noses
lines.
a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of nose itching. It's just allergy season.
yeah.
Oh, hey, Max.
But yeah, so he goes to his dad's club. We'll just call it the club. And then the kids who were bullying him earlier were like, "What are you doing here?" And then I'm thinking, "What the fuck are you doing here?"
Yeah.
You're like-
Right?
you're maybe 14. 'Cause
Yeah.
Max is
Hold
12,
on,
and
hold
these
on.
kids.
Before that, him and Shaq get in there to go see his dad.
Mhm.
And Shaq starts rapping, and he brings
Yeah.
up his boombox, and fireworks come out of the boombox. And then Max abandons him and goes to find his dad. And his dad is fucking kicking the shit out of a guy.
His
for
dad,
something.
his dad's doing
Yeah.
some shady stuff.
We don't know
Yeah.
what's going on. And then he like manhandles Max and kicks him out of the club. And then that's when Max sees his friend.
Yeah. Max is like, hey, Dad, I'm here. And his dad's like, okay, no, go away. I'm doing business. Get out. And Max is like, but Dad, I'm here. And Max's dad is like, no, seriously, I'm beating the shit out of this guy. Leave. And Max is like, but Dad, I love you so much and I need your love to exist.
Yeah, he's like, I thought we were gonna hang out.
yeah.
It's like his dad's
He's-
like, I'm about to beat the shit out of this guy
Yeah.
for some sort of like business deal.
You've shown up at my workplace in the middle of my work day when you're supposed to be at home in bed. The
Meanwhile,
fuck?
his mom has no idea where he's at.
Yeah, I think his mom's on a lot of Valium.
Yeah.
A
I get it.
lot of Valium.
Well, something happens. He talks about. He gets out of the club and he sees the bullies and whatnot. And the bullies are like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Yeah, what are you doing here?" And then he's trying to look cool in front of the bullies, saying like, "I can go up and take out the cassette out of the boombox in the DJ booth." And they're like, "Really? You could do that?" And he's like, "Yeah." So apparently that's cool to do back then. And so he's like, "All right." And they steal it, and apparently it's worth $1 million. I don't know why or what was going on, but
Yeah.
it's a very valuable
It's definitely
cassette tape.
a cassette tape, maybe a demo reel of the white guy that was getting beaten up earlier. They allude to it being a recording of Shaq playing.
I was gonna say, I thought it was just Shaq. I thought that was the whole deal. It wasn't clear. It doesn't matter. There was probably cocaine.
But there was something important about this cassette tape, and they're like, when they lose it because the kids steal it, Malik, the unquestionable bad guy of the movie,
Yeah,
is
because
like,
he's foreign, so he's
Exactly.
really sketchy.
he's like, oh my gosh, you lost it. It was worth $1 million. I'm gonna kill you now. And the dad's like, I can get it back. Don't worry. So like, you know, your traditional like heist style movie, and so that leads us to essentially our second wish, which is Max being like, I wish for my dad to get his cassette back. This is also after he shows up in a glass of water and then like explodes onto a table, and Jack's like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, yeah, what the fuck are you doing here? You were just swimming in a glass of water, and then all of a sudden you're here. I don't understand that.
So
connection.
Shaq was getting the moves on with whatever Asia
The
Moon.
singer star lady.
Something Moon, you're right.
Yeah. So every time the Max kid yells for Kazaam, either he summons Kazaam to him or he appears where Kazaam is.
Yes.
That's the internal logic of the universe, is that if he yells for Kazaam strong enough somehow, it will either take him to Kazaam or it will bring Kazaam to him.
Yeah.
So he'll yell for Kazaam, and Kazaam will have a like headache sensation of someone is summoning me. And early in the movie where Max is strong and Kazaam is weak, Kazaam will just appear where Max is. But later in the movie where Kazaam is strong and Max is weak, Max will yell for Kazaam, and either it will bring Max to him, or if it is inconvenient in a narrative sense, it will bring Kazaam to Max.
Yeah, it's a bizarre thing that you haven't really seen in a genie connection before. Like, I don't think I at least have seen, because like, I mean, okay, I don't have a whole lot of genie movies to go, or shows to go off of. I Dream of Genie, Aladdin. I think that pretty much
I feel
wraps
like
up
there
the
is
list.
the theme of Genie, I summon you to me.
Yeah. So, Kazaam is not convinced that this wish is actually what the kid wants, but Max is like, I command you, and Max is being a dick at this point. Jack's like, alright, fine, I guess, fuck it. I'll give you your cassette. And then, out of nowhere, summons the cassette, and then the next scene, the mom's like, where the hell have you been? And the dad's like, well, I'm gonna take him and, like, scold him, take him out of class. It's out of class. He's like, alright, so I'm gonna take him, and then
And
the
we
mom
only
figures
ever
him
see
out.
him have the one teacher.
See, yeah, it's okay. Clearly looks like a public school,
Yeah.
but this is not like the only time you ever see him. He's in the one class, which I think is geography.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because he's answering principalities.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at one point they're talking about former Soviet Union, and he's like, "Something Stan the man." Ha 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 ha! I'm a jokester. You're like, all right, kid, I guess.
Yeah, sure. If you don't want to learn your former Soviet Unions, look what happens to America.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Max.
God damn it,
Max the current American electorate.
So,
Oh.
Dad gets pissed off at Max, and he's like,
Not
in my-
Dad. Yeah, Dad.
It's Nick
His
Mateo,
father. Yeah, Mateo.
real dad.
Yeah,
who's
real
not been around for
father.
13 years, or 12 years. It's weird. He's like, in 15 years. I'm like, wait, the kid's 12.
Right.
It's been very clear, so where's
Yeah.
15 coming
You've
from?
been gone for a decade because you left when he was
Yeah.
2 and he's 12 now.
So I don't know where 15 came from. But then the
math
kid
in
he
the
gets his
whole
ass
movie.
chewed out, and Max holds up the cassette, and the dad's like, oh, okay, and he takes it, and the Max leaves. It's like, oh, okay, that's awkward. What happens after that?
We missed the part where the building was burning down.
No, we haven't
No,
got
Max.
there yet.
No, Max has the cassette, but I think Kazaam. This is the part where Kazam's like becoming enamored with like the rap lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is okay. So the night that the cassette gets stolen, Shaq or Kazaam, whatever, same thing, are
Shazam.
they are? He goes into Malik's limo and eats goat's eyes, and is like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cool! Hang out with Malik." Malik says that I have a career ahead of me in this business, and all
Yeah,
this.
that always happens to people. They eat goat's eyes. Malik says they have a career.
But according to our resident specialist, those were not goat eyes.
Yeah. So if you look at the anatomy of the eyes that are offered, goat eyes have a cross-shaped pupil, and I did not see these on the prop eyes that are offered. I didn't get really good clarification. They might have been sheep eyes, which have a dash-shaped pupil. But
this
they
is
were
very important.
they were definitely not. Well, so the stereotype is typically sheep eyes. That's what I've heard, that you're offered sheep eyes as a delicacy.
Hey Siri. Sheep eyes.
You don't read a lot of Discworld, do you?
My Siri's not working.
So anyway, I didn't see the cross-shaped pupil, so I did not believe they were goat eyes as a prop. I didn't see a dash-shaped pupil, so I wasn't certain that they were sheep eyes as a prop. A round pupil would indicate perhaps some other ungulate, like a cow, or...
All right, Kazaam.
They
Ungulate.
ate eyeballs.
So
That's
they
like
ate
it.
some eyes
Yeah.
in the casino.
Whatever. Kazam
Casino?
was
The
into
fuck are
it.
you
In
talking
the-
about?
Where
In
did the
lim-
casino come from, Casey?
In the limousine.
Casino.
Oh, yes. I see where you got the two confused. Casino, limousine, you know.
Wait,
Same thing.
was he driving the limo? The foreign guy?
No, it's not. It's
No.
it's a
I
different.
know.
No, he was
It's a
eating
joke.
goat eyes.
It's
Smell it.
it's
He
a
was
joke.
the one.
They were
and he
goat
was-
eyes.
He was slurping up the fake goat eyes.
He was.
That was the whole
Ugh.
thing, is that Malik is creepy because he eats things foreign people eat. Ooh.
But also so does Shaq, and then you're like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
who's the
90s.
villain? Antagonist? Question mark. And so what? Okay, so yeah, we did talk. Shaq gets enamored with this like rap lifestyle, and he's all into it. And he's like, oh man, it's gonna be big. He's hanging out with Asia Moon, which is a stripper name if I've ever heard one. But
Literally, I'm sorry. Literally, all of the female characters who may have been billed as Shaq's love interest were not given enough characterization for me to pay any kind of attention to them.
No.
No, she really, realistically. So, Asia Moon was like the sidekick, like secretary of Malik.
But we don't know why. She was indebted
Yeah.
to Malik for
But
some
she's like,
reason.
oh
we
yeah,
don't know why.
she's like, you'll never know him as well as I do. Wink.
She had known him
she-
for 10 minutes at
Yeah.
that point.
And she's like, I know him in a personal way.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then
well,
there was
yeah.
the shot of Malik touching her face in the creepiest, like,
Yeah.
she is not into this physical contact, but he has the ability to touch her in ways she is not comfortable with.
Oh, it's weird.
ugh.
And then
Typical.
Shaq's like, alright, I like this lifestyle, I'm here for this.
Typical 90s, we didn't understand any of the background stories of these women.
Yeah.
No.
Thanks, 90s. You suck.
Weird issues of power balance and consent.
And apparently slave jokes. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, I'm looking at the plot here. We got to keep going, Jordan. If we're
Alright.
gonna hit yours.
Let's hurry.
Alright.
So
Push on.
he's got his two wishes in, and we did forget about one aspect. After they get past his bodyguard, Max is introduced to his father, and his father is all like, "Oh my gosh, it's my son." So this
Yeah.
is before the night where he gets the cassette taken, and this is the night after that is one of the weird, awkward situations where Kazaam shows up at his house. Well, and he showers.
Yeah.
He's in his house in his bed with
Oh,
him.
that's right.
Yeah.
He quote unquote showers in his bedroom and then shows up and introduces himself to his mom as his tutor.
Who is scared but turned on.
She is
Yeah.
really into Shaq.
Real turned
Yeah.
on. And I
She's
get
like,
it. I see it.
Oh, Shaq, tell me not to scream.
Are those suspenders you're wearing?
She's like, oh, yes. but you're a tutor, you say.
And it's like
But
7 in the
yes.
morning.
Yeah.
And then okay, so then
Can
she's
you
like,
teach me the geography of my form?
she asks him, "Would you like to stay for breakfast?" And he's like, "French toast? Hells yeah, I would." And he sits down and she gives him some French toast. And
She
Shaq
turns around.
She turns
Yeah.
around to
Oh,
continue
no.
baking and cooking
Oh,
this
no,
French
this
toast.
part. Oh, no.
Sure, yeah. No, yeah.
And Kazaam is like, all right, I'm going to use my magic and I'm going to eat my French toast. And he levitates it, folds it in half,
Like a V.
like a V. And then instead of just like taking a fork and eating it, it shoots straight for her ass and then veers up and out of the way at the last second.
Yep.
Oh,
And then
last
he
second?
like it was like it gets there
It
and then
almost glides off her back.
it almost like
yeah.
she has no idea what's going on.
Like, there has to be a breeze on her fanny from this closeness.
She doesn't notice.
Anyway,
She's
they
and then-
fly
cooking.
into his mouth.
And then the French toast flies into his mouth and he burps and she's like,
No,
"Oh
no,
goodness."
no. Hold on.
But-
There's a particularly angry piece of French toast that is trying to penetrate the mouth of Max.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Max is determined not to let that
Yeah.
fucker in.
There are 3 pieces. All 3 have flown at the mom's ass.
Yes.
And then circled back to the table. 2 have gone into Kazaam's mouth. And 1 is waiting to penetrate Max.
Ugh.
And as we've
Sorry,
learned
Jordan,
from
go
Clerks
over this
2, you
again.
never go ass to mouth.
It's your turn, Casey. Please take it away. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, no. There's a piece of French toast that really wants to penetrate
Ugh,
Max.
so hard. Ah! Sorry. It's disgusting.
There's a lot,
Anyway.
as we mentioned earlier, there's a lot of like subtle creepy pedophilia in this movie.
Anyway.
There is one moment where Max is like, "Oh, you pervert!" to
Yeah.
We're
Kazam.
like, thank you. Someone fucking said it.
It's when he's
he's in
like
bed
in bed with
with
him.
him.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys noticed Shaq's pajamas, but they were pirate map pajamas, and I liked them.
You gotta search for the treasure.
You gotta get up in that booty.
Anyway,
And
Max
exactly
goes
the-
to his dad's music bar, whatever,
Yeah.
and Nick
Concert
Mateo
venue recording
is
studio.
getting
And so
his
we're
ass
ma-
kicked.
yes.
Teo.
We're talking. Yeah. So
Oh, we
and
forgot
this
the
is
your mother joke.
Yeah.
Max is very Italian. He goes, your mother, at one point.
Everyone,
Your mother.
everyone in this movie is very Italian.
Very
ex-
Italian.
yes.
Except for Shaq.
And we did skip as we went right to like the cassette. No, before the cassette, there is a mid movie rap song between Max and
Oh, I
Shaq.
forgot about the montage.
And they're like, "Who's the genie? I'm the genie." And
the genie.
we
It's
the
very, it's
genie.
very
The
wee
genie.
genie. Yes.
It's real weird.
Anyway.
It doesn't fit. I don't get it.
That's why we skipped it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's Shaq, and he's looking right into the camera, and he's singing, he's rapping,
This was just one long Shaq music video.
more or less.
Have you guys watched season 3 of Kimmy Schmidt?
No.
No.
Okay, so there's jokes about how if you let your mistress record a music video, you don't play it at the board meeting because it's gonna go on for 10 minutes because you paid
mean,
for your
that's
mistress
accurate.
to record the music video, and I feel like Shaq paid for himself to record the music video. Don't play it at your board meeting, Shaq.
Shaq, no. Oh, we forgot
Shaq,
to mention
no.
that this fucking movie was not just direct to TV, which is what I thought. I thought it was
No,
just
this was a
straight to
movie.
Disney Channel. No, this was a movie in
So-
theaters.
This was
It's a big
this
deal.
is a very
Now,
much
speaking
a
of,
movie
so
that
I'm
actually
looking at
happened.
this. I'm looking at this now, and you actually it was only a $20 million budget, which even in the 90s is very low. This is a very low budget.
for the effects they had.
In the box office, I mean, it was. I mean, this has got to be considered a flop, but it's 18.9 million.
Yeah.
So it didn't quite make its money back, but
Does that
still,
include international markets?
I don't know. It just says box office,
Okay.
but yeah. So we've
saw
got
it.
this whole concept of Max wanting for his mom and dad to fall back into asleep. I guess I know what I'm thinking about.
Fall back
And
asleep.
Kazam's like, no, I can't do this because I cannot do ethereal wishes. And so then now this gets us to the whole concept of Max's dad getting beaten up because the cassette has been stolen, and he's like, oh my god, we got to get the cassette back. So there's where our second wish comes in. Later on, though, that night when he goes back to his dad, he's trying to do one more Dad, I want to see you. I'm trying to help you. And this is the night where Shaq has his like big record deal, and he has this big performance, and Malik is like, "You're the man. I love you. You're the best person I've ever found." Because Malik is obsessed with him for multiple reasons. One, he thinks there's more to him because he saw this like gold piece fly out of his jukebox, and he knows there's something weird about him. But then he also knows that he financially is like his cash cow. He knows that he's going to get more out of him.
Right.
So he starts to see the boombox. You know there's something about the boombox. So he has his like side guy steal the boombox, and then Malik becomes like his quote unquote master because he's holding the boombox.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
But he has to get the last wish out of Max.
Yes, because
right.
until
Within,
that
like,
point, he's still
reason.
Yeah.
under
It's
contract.
very sort of like vague.
It's weird. It's your genie contract.
Sure.
Yeah.
Your stereotypical genie conundrum.
You gotta have your last wish of the 3 wishes, and then you're free to perform other wishes.
Right.
Sure. Contract
Yeah.
law.
And then
Yeah.
Whatever.
and this whole little boombox thing is going on, and Max confronts him. Malik shoves him down an elevator shaft, so Max falls down another 3 stories. This kid is a like human punching bag at this
He
point.
should be a quintuple reject.
He
Wait,
definitely
Did you say what Max wished for his 3rd wish before all this happened?
that he wanted
yeah.
his mom and dad to fall back in love.
No, he wanted
No.
his dad to have
A second chance.
That's all. Just for
Oh,
his
yeah.
dad to have a
Yeah.
second chance.
That's right. That happened in the midst of all of the crowd.
And Kazaam was like, "That's ethereal.
Sorry,
Bitch, I
man.
don't do ethereal."
Can't do it.
That's all. It's really vague. Sorry, can't do it.
Second chance.
Bye.
Anyway, he falls down an
He falls down an elevator
And
shaft.
Kazam freaks out.
And Sam goes all Shaq Fu on everybody, and this is the moment where it got weird because we heard something, so we're like, oh, that really happen? So we went backward, and then we saw Shaq violate a man.
Yeah.
So,
With his
yeah.
hands.
Oh
So-
man, that was weird.
Oh,
so
bad.
That's messed up.
Oh,
So
bad.
bad.
The really messed up thing was that Shaq like punched a guy in the chest and made him fly across the room. And as he flies across the room, the guy says something. Was it "Adios, muchachos"?
Yep. And we're like, no, he didn't say that,
Was it
so we go
muchachos
back.
or compadres?
Muchachos.
Muchachos.
Something like that, yeah.
Adios, muchachos.
Adios, muchachos. Yeah.
As he flies across a room, and
Yeah.
I insisted that we rewind it because I thought I couldn't have heard that.
Because there's no way that someone
It doesn't
would
make
say
sense. It was like a guy ad-libbed. He's like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be on that goddamn soundtrack.
And God bless him, you know his agent fought to say, you can hear my performer say it as this character, so he doesn't just get credited as an extra. He is a
Yep.
recognizable role, and he gets additional benefits.
He gets another $20,000 for adios, muchachos.
Good.
Sticks his
And then
very long
Shaq,
fingers.
And
like,
then-
punch, grab and throw. But when he grabs, he grabs from
Up
the...
in there.
He's grabbing this guy's ass cheek with at least 2 fingers, maybe more,
So long.
like up his ass, and then he throws him.
You can
Yeah.
see. You can see. So look at your hand right now. Look at the back of your hand and see how far your thumb sticks up along the joints of your index finger. You can't see past the thumb on the index or ring finger.
He got a
Of the
couple
hand.
fingers in there.
He's inside a man.
Yeah, and he gets in there and he
Oh.
throws him. So not only does he throw him, but he's throwing him after not even buying him a drink, and he throws him and he continues to fight. And essentially, then we're like, oh, hey, we've gone an entire movie without referencing basketball. So Shaq is going to like crumble up Malik into a ball because fuck physics. And then dunk him into whatever seems to be this like
Like a chute.
it's like a
laundry
a
chute.
trash chute or laundry chute. And you're like, all right. And then he does this like yell. He's like, Kazaam! And you're like, all right, drink.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, everything's on fire. We're like, what?
For no reason.
And while this fire is going on in a separate part of the building, Max is okay. He's not dead, but he looks dead. And Shaq
Should be dead.
Shaq's
Yeah.
like, oh no, you can't be dead. You have been my best friend in 5,000 years. We're like, wait, 5,000?
Yeah.
I thought it was 3,000. But Casey explained that it was 5,000.
Supposedly. Whatever.
Since he became a
It's
genie.
bullshit.
3,000.
Sure, yeah.
But he
Perhaps-
lived for 2,000 years as a normal human being before that. Okay.
No,
Casey
yeah, he
doesn't
was
remember.
trapped
Whatever.
for 2,000 years.
Yeah. Maybe he was a djinn for 2,000, then he was a genie.
For
and
like
then he was
5,000,
"I'd
he's
rather go
been
back."
a genie, but for like 3,000, he's been trapped.
What have we learned from the 90s? Spontaneous fires happen constantly. Everyone can survive falling 3 floors. And genies can, do whatever the fuck they want.
I don't-
That's
Yep.
what we learned.
Yeah,
You've
no,
never
that's
seen
I
Aladdin.
mean, that's the 90s. Yeah.
Thank you, the 90s.
Have you seen the 90s? That's
You're right.
exactly what Aladdin is.
That's right.
Legit.
So he finds Max, and he kind of wishes that he's like, oh man, I wish I could have given your dad this second chance that you wished for. And then all of a sudden he starts glowing and becoming really large, and then like becomes so big that Max like floats at his face, even though
It was so awkward.
It's weird. He basically becomes like the like glowing version of Mufasa, and like Max is flying at his face, and then we're like, oh my gosh, Max is being held by his somewhat stepfather.
But
And
it
then-
was Kazaam turning into a djinn.
Yeah.
And then,
but see, I don't get how he became a djinn, because he never.
it's just what happened.
He's like, he couldn't perform ethereal wishes, but then I guess he did, because Max's it came from the heart. But I'm like,
Yeah, because he really cared about Max.
it's not how that shit works.
it is how
No,
Disney
it
works.
is according to Kazaam.
He really cared.
Apparently.
I guess.
I don't make these rules, Aaron.
Okay, so it's like, so Travis carries him out, and
No.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Kazam did carry him out at one point, but it was before he became a djinn.
and then
My bad.
because then
So Travis
the
carries him out.
moment that Max starts floating towards Shaq's glowing face, that's when he starts to realize, that he is, or that's when Travis like is carrying him.
Carries him out.
So Travis carries him
hasn't
out.
even zipped up his fireman's uniform. He just like does whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, whatever this child needs, because I love the mom so much.
And then he's okay. Max is fine. Max's dad comes out and is like, oh my gosh, I survived this somehow. I want to be a good father to you, but I'm going to go to jail for a little while. And he's like, all right, when you get out, we can be father and son again. This would be awesome. And then Max decides that Travis isn't such a bad guy, even though really the only thing that's changed is that he's had a better connection with Kazaam.
Right.
And then we see Kazaam walking away
In
with
a wife beater.
with
Setting
Asia,
a great example.
Asia Moon, and she's like, "You got to get a job," and he's like, "A job? What? No, I don't want a job." And then Max is smiling, and he's like, "Oh man, Kazaam, what a little monster.
What
he's such a
scamp."
he's such a little scamp." Yeah. And then we're like, "Oh, I guess the movie's over. Great, everybody wins."
Roll credits.
Except for the guy that got smushed into a basketball.
Whatever, he's
dead.
Malik.
Yeah.
And
That's the
I
movie.
guess Shaq turned into a human also after he became a djinn.
I guess.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's the movie, and I don't know. It was better than I remembered it being. I honestly think the last time I saw this, I was probably like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
It's been a while. So yeah, it was interesting. It was a good movie, and all right, this is we're getting ready to wrap it up here. So let's go one by one, and let's give our thoughts, our final thoughts, wrapping it up. And let's go 1 to 5. What's a good ratings scale for this one?
Mr. Big Bars.
1 to 5 Shaq fingers.
Oh,
I don't think I can do any Shaq fingers. Nope, let's not do Shaq
Okay.
Carly,
fingers.
first up.
I'm going the middle 3.
The middle 3.
I'll go the middle 3 because I saw this in theaters when I was, 8 years old. And I really enjoyed it. And frankly, this lived up to about how much 8-year-old Carly enjoyed something and expected 30-year-old Carly to enjoy it. Shaq wasn't the worst. The writing was 90s bad.
Yeah, it's very 90s.
Yeah,
Very
I'll go
90s.
the middle 3 out of 5 Shaq fingers on one hand, right up the
Alright.
butt.
All right. Casey?
Honestly, it's gonna be out of 5 Shaq fingers. It's gonna be 4.
Wow.
I really enjoy this one, that said, I have a lot of memories of this film from when I was a child, but seeing it as an adult, it really lives up to what I remembered it being as a child. It really plays into that, like, 90s vibe, and it has Shaq, who really plays into that, like, 90s Shaq sort of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, he plays himself. Shaq is Shaq in costume, and yeah.
Right, exactly. And as an adult, when you approach this film, that's what you expect, and that's exactly what you get. So 5.
He just went up to a 5.
Yeah.
Best
Absolutely.
movie he's seen the past 20 years.
All right.
Kazam. Jordan.
I was gonna give it a 2 Shaq fingers, but I'm gonna give it a 3 because Shaq looked fucking good. Seriously, I was so happy. I was like, man, Shaq looks fucking good. And honestly, he was not nearly as bad at acting as I thought, or as I remembered. I remember this being a horrible movie. It really wasn't that bad. The storyline sucked. Max was awful. Max is a horrible human being
Max
and child.
is garbage.
He is-
And all children are garbage.
Exactly.
There's
He's
a
the
lot
worst
wrong
part
with
of that movie. Shaq was actually pretty decent. I was
Yeah.
pretty impressed. He wasn't good. He was
If-
just better than I remembered.
Shaq had a movie like professional wrestlers are able to get movies now.
Oh, yeah.
I
think Shaq started that trend.
Yeah. Well, what happened for Shaq or Michael Jordan?
Yes.
I think
Jordan.
Shaq. Jordan was in 97, I think,
Oh,
with
so-
Space Jam.
Michael Jordan's more of an asshole, though. Shaq's actually nice.
Esque.
Like, but the idea of putting
It was
in-
96 as well. These came out in the same year.
Yeah. So whoever started it, if you took it more seriously, it's a good trend. You're a performer.
Yeah. Okay, so as far as I go here, I much like I did last time, I'm going to give it a twofold rating. I think as far as a film goes,
You're
it's going to
folding
get
the fingers.
it's going to
Is
go
that just
2.5 Shaq fingers. That half one is buried deep. As far as nostalgia goes, I'll give it a 4. Because yes, it did bring back some wonderful memories. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Honestly, like, at least there was a plot. I mean, in comparison to Spice World had, like, it was more about the songs. This one had a music break, and I still had a little bit of a plot, so I can appreciate that. So sorry, Nick. Spice World does not have a better plot than Kazaam.
Oh, man.
He's gonna be
Shots fired.
He's gonna be mad about that one. So yeah, 4 nostalgia, 2.5 on an actual film standpoint, and I think that wraps it up. Next week, we've got what do we got coming up next week? Next week is we've got the Christopher Robin movie that is creeping Jordan out something awful.
I don't want to talk about it.
She will definitely not be the guest host
Nope.
on that one. We will be looking at somebody else there.
Disgusting.
But I'm probably going to go with Christopher Robin because, hey, Winnie the Pooh, Tigger, too, and all that fun stuff, and Piglet,
Shut
and
up.
all those fun little creatures. We're going to go old school and continue the nostalgia factor as we did this week. So, yeah, everybody's kind of wrapping up here. We are going to try to recover from a very long night, and hhopefully you guys enjoy listening to this week. Thanks, you guys, for coming on. It's been fun. Jordan, thank you.
Thanks.
I'm pretty sure we're under an hour and a half. We are under an hour and a half.
Okay, wrap it up.
We got
Thank
time.
you. Drive safe. Thanks for coming
We got,
to the drive-in.
we got
Bye.
like 2 minutes.
Bye.
We can continue to wrap this up. You know, we got time.
Oh, no. Slow the wrap up. Like,
We're gonna-
enjoy it.
We're gonna like take some time. We're gonna like shack it up. We're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna go
Shut
old school and smack it up.
Aaron.
I'm trying to do like a shack exit.
Shut up.
It's a very Shaq rap sort of outro.
It's
yeah.
Shacktastic.
Anyway.
So, yeah, as always, you guys can find us on Twitter through You can Twitter at Drive and Eventide, or
tweet.
you can Twitter us at Drive and Eventide, or you can email us at driveandeventide@gmail.com. Casey and Carly, thanks again, you guys as well, for coming on.
Woo!
Absolutely.
And as always, the drive-in is very much opposed to drunk driving, so make sure that you guys, if you are partaking, you guys get home safely, as I always say. Uber if you have to, and get a friend to come by and pick you up, or something along those lines. Do not drive drunk. That is not the way that we like to do things here. We are going to go to bed. You guys enjoy the rest of your night as well. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.